Welcome to Co-Pilot Podcasts. Imagine a world where the rules of international politics are being completely rewritten. That's exactly what's happening right now in 2025. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of global power dynamics and India's pivotal role in this transformation. By the end of this episode, you'll understand how India is reshaping global alliances and why it matters to everyone.
You know, what's really interesting is how India has positioned itself in this complex web of international relations. According to recent developments at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, we're seeing a completely new approach to global diplomacy.
Wait, can you break that down for us? What exactly is happening at these international forums?
Well, look at the recent BRICS summit in Kazan. The group has expanded to include new members like Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. Together, they now represent about 45 to 50% of the world's population and roughly a third of global GDP.
That's huge. I mean, we're talking about a significant portion of the global economy here.
Exactly. And what's particularly fascinating is how India is playing this diplomatic game. They're maintaining strong relationships with seemingly opposing camps, the US and its allies on one side and the Russia-China axis on the other.
But isn't that a risky strategy? I mean, how does India manage these potentially conflicting relationships?
That's where India's concept of strategic autonomy comes in. They've moved from their traditional non-aligned position to what experts are calling multi-alignment, essentially maintaining beneficial relationships with all major powers while preserving their independence.
Go on.
Take the recent developments with the US, for instance. The Trump administration imposed significant tariffs on Indian goods, 25% base tariffs, which were then increased to 50% over Russian oil purchases.
Oh, wow. That must have created some serious tensions.
It did, and here's where it gets interesting. Instead of simply accepting these pressures, India has been strengthening its ties with other powers. They've been particularly active in the Indo-Pacific region.
The Indo-Pacific seems to be coming up a lot lately. Why is this region so important?
Well, according to recent diplomatic statements, the Indo-Pacific has become the center of global economic and strategic competition. India plays a crucial role here as an essential U.S. partner in strengthening governance, security, and regional cooperation.
You know, it's fascinating how this relates to historical patterns. I mean, isn't this similar to how countries balanced power during the Cold War?
That's a great observation. But there's a key difference. During the Cold War, countries often had to choose sides. Today, India is showing that it's possible to maintain productive relationships across different power blocs.
Let's talk about the economic side of things. How is this affecting global trade?
This is where things get really interesting. We're seeing a significant shift in global trade patterns. For instance, BRICS countries are increasingly trading in their local currencies instead of dollars.
Wait, really? How significant is this move away from the dollar?
According to IMF data, the US dollar now accounts for about 58% of global reserves, down from 70% in 2000. And Russia-China trade is now settled almost entirely in rubles and yuan.
That's a pretty dramatic shift.
It is, and India is playing a crucial role in this transformation. They're actively participating in new financial mechanisms while maintaining their traditional economic partnerships.
But what about the challenges? Surely this balancing act comes with its own set of problems.
Absolutely. One of the biggest challenges is managing the China relationship. Despite recent diplomatic engagement, there are still unresolved border issues dating back to the 2020 Galwan clashes.
How is India handling these tensions with China?
Recent developments show a pragmatic approach. High-level visits have resumed, with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi visited Delhi and Prime Minister Modi attending the SAO summit in Tianjin.
That sounds like a significant diplomatic thaw.
Yes, but it's important to note that this is what experts are calling a transactional thaw, rather than a fundamental reset of relations.
Can you explain what you mean by transactional thaw?
It means both countries are willing to work together on specific issues of mutual benefit while maintaining their core positions on strategic disputes.
And how does this fit into India's broader strategy in the Indo-Pacific?
India's Indo-Pacific strategy is actually quite sophisticated. They're working through multiple frameworks, the Quad alliance with the US, Japan, and Australia, while also maintaining strong ties with ASEAN countries.
That's quite a balancing act.
Indeed, and it's not just about security. India's also focusing heavily on economic connectivity, particularly through initiatives like the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor.
Speaking of economics, how is India handling the pressure from US tariffs?
Interestingly, these pressures have pushed India to diversify its economic partnerships. They're strengthening ties with the Gulf Cooperation Council states and exploring new trade corridors.
It's fascinating how external pressure can lead to new opportunities.
Exactly. And this is where India's multi-alignment strategy really shows its value. When pressure increases from one direction, they can lean into other partnerships.
Let's talk about BRICS for a moment. How significant is its expansion?
The expansion is quite significant. With new members, BRICS now represents nearly half the world's population and has surpassed the G7 in GDP terms when measured by purchasing power parity.
That's a massive shift in global economic power.
Yes, and India has been careful to support expansion while ensuring it doesn't become dominated by any single member. They're particularly focused on maintaining a balance with China's influence.
How does this affect global governance?
BRICS is actively pushing for reform of international institutions. They want greater representation for developing nations in bodies like the UN Security Council and international financial institutions.
And India's position on these reforms?
India strongly supports these reforms while maintaining its own unique position. They're advocating for a more multipolar world order rather than replacing one dominant power with another.
What about maritime security? That seems to be a growing concern.
Yes, maritime security is crucial. India is actively working to ensure free and open sea lanes while developing its naval capabilities. The recent focus has been on collaborative approaches with partners in the Indo-Pacific.
How does this affect regional stability?
According to recent diplomatic statements, India's approach is helping to maintain regional stability by promoting dialogue and cooperation rather than confrontation.
It sounds like India's really emerging as a key player in global stability.
Absolutely. Their ability to maintain productive relationships across different power blocks while pursuing their own interests makes them an increasingly important stabilizing force.
What challenges lie ahead?
The main challenge will be maintaining this delicate balance, especially as global tensions increase. India needs to continue managing relationships with both the US and China while pursuing its own strategic interests.
And the opportunities?
The opportunities are significant. India's position allows it to play a crucial role in shaping the new world order, particularly in areas like trade, technology, and security cooperation.
How might this affect global stability in the coming years?
Based on current trends, India's multi-alignment approach could help prevent the world from splitting into rigid opposing camps, promoting a more flexible and stable international order.
That's quite an optimistic view.
Well, it's grounded in reality. The data shows that India's approach is already yielding results in terms of economic growth and diplomatic influence.
What should people take away from all this?
The key takeaway is that we're witnessing a fundamental shift in global power dynamics, and India's strategic approach could help shape a more balanced and stable world order.
This has been fascinating. Any final thoughts?
Yes, I think it's important to remember that this isn't just about power politics. It's about creating a more inclusive and equitable global system that benefits all nations.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode of Copilot Podcasts. Remember, in today's complex world, it's not about choosing sides, it's about building bridges. Thanks for listening.